Hi, everybody. It's Kanesha from boldlivingtoday.com, and welcome to Wednesday Club. Normally, we have Wednesday Club at 12 p.m. Central or 12 p.m. Pacific time, but I have an appointment today, so I just had to move it up, and I didn't want to cancel it. So, we're making a bold shift for today. So, Wednesday Club, for those of you who are new to it, it's a time that I come and talk about things I'm working on and share tips and tools and, interact with the Bold Living Today community. What does club stand for Wednesday Club? The C stands for creativity. So I'm a creativity expert and I do a lot of my work around helping people use creativity to disrupt unfulfilling patterns and to solve problems for themselves. The L stands from learning from and successfully navigating life transitions. So we all have changes coming up and we're all trying to navigate it and do a good job with it. So we have to learn from that. It's all data. The U stands from untangling from things and thoughts that keep us small, that keep us stuck, that keep us not doing the things that we know we want to be doing on our own terms. And then the B stands for building and amplifying your boldness. And as I always talk about boldness, it's here for all of us. We all have different ways to be bold. We can build ourselves up, own our unique talents, and just listen to the internal whispers so that we can move forward in what we want to do, and then decide your time is now. So I have been talking about some of the workshops I've been doing this month around supporting teens and around supporting parents and helping them have a better toolkit when they are parenting teens and figuring out how they're growing themselves as parents and how their teens are growing. So I've had a series of workshops around hacking your planner, being more creative around the way you organize yourself so you can boost your creativity, and then also what I call the Mindfulness RX, and helping teens and parents really figure out different ways to deal with feeling overwhelmed, how to deal with stress, how to put themselves in the front row of making decisions that feel good as opposed to just always pleasing others and having these external factors. And I guess I should say it's not just for parents. Adults can use this information too, but my primary target of clients are teens and their parents, and then women navigating transitions. But hey, we can all get some boldness. So I had a great 2 workshops this past weekend and the weekend before, both at libraries. And I love working with libraries just because you get a nice cross-section of different people from different socioeconomic pockets and from people from different communities. So it's really great way for me to be with other people and learn about them while I'm teaching them. And I always learn something new myself. And it's fun because we make stuff and we learn. So the last 2 workshops, as I mentioned, were Mindfulness RX. And we were really focusing on different ways to reduce stress, to deal with overwhelm, and to take better care of ourselves. As many of you know, September is Suicide Awareness Month, and I live in Silicon Valley, and unfortunately, we had in previous years a lot of people affected by people dying by suicide, and it's just really challenging to talk about those things when we don't have the language, when we don't have the space to discuss how we were affected by someone close to us, someone in our family, someone in our community dying by suicide, or when we are feeling hopeless, overwhelmed, and people always say, strive, do your best, keep going, and you really don't have any space, or you don't think you have any space to get support, to get relief, and to figure out things to make yourself feel comforted in those stressful times before you can get a shift in habits or changes with a professional to help you feel better or get the right medical attention. So I just want to talk about today some of the activities we did and some of the things that I helped the participants with, because they're super simple, but they're highly effective. And, a lot of times people think about doing creative things or working on mindfulness, and they think about spending extra money or having not enough time to do it. And I just want to show you some quick and easy things that I showed the participants in the last 2 workshops, and that I'm sure you all can do, and you can do at home, and then take and put your own bold flair on it and make it work for you. So when I was talking about the Hack Your Planner workshop, I was talking about using envelopes and pockets to insert into your planner, into your journal, so that you can capture different things or use it for a temporary hold, and just to have different ways to organize yourself. And I talk about using the envelopes that come with your bills. So if you pay your bills online, please pay your bills. But if you pay your bills online, a lot of times you don't need these envelopes, and then you end up recycling them and you just have them on hand. Or you've had like a box of blank note cards, and then you use the card, but you don't use the envelope, and then you have all these extra envelopes, you know, sitting there and nothing to do with them. So what I showed my participants specifically in the mindfulness workshop was to make these different pockets for different ways they can relieve themselves from certain stress, certain tensions, certain things that make them nervous, and all of that. And so we made these little pockets, and within the pockets we had different tools, strategies, visual aids to help support us around using our five senses, and to think about the things that cause us stress and what are better ways to cope with it, as opposed to just going on social media, you know, binge eating things, you know, just having better ways to cope and feel better about yourself instantly. And I had the opportunity this July to go to Oregon to present a workshop, or not a workshop, but to talk about my workshopping around visualizations and having pop-up sanctuaries, and how to build community and a positive climate within work environments, within classroom and school environments, and through parenting organizations, so that people will have like a common tool and something that they can use to connect, but it's very individualized. Like, you know, something that's super visual for me that focuses on things that make me feel good would not be the same as a neighbor or a work colleague, but we use the same system to create our visual tool, so we have that commonality to talk about it and to support each other. So it was really fun to go. This conference was called the Creativity Conference, which was so awesome. I loved it. And it was in Ashland, Oregon, and it was at Southern Oregon University. And I presented a poster around using visualization as a stress reduction tool, and to build community, and also to build inclusivity, because it's not determined on anybody's specific culture or language, or, you know, how they come to the organization. You know, we all start on the same leveling playing field, and then have a way to talk about our own personal experiences with this tool as the guide. And then I also did what they call a boom talk, and it was 15 minutes. So I guess it would be kind of like a speed dating talk or like a TED talk. You have 15 minutes to talk about your topic, and then do Q&A, which was kind of stressful, but super fun. And I met a lot of awesome people. So specific to these envelopes, going back to it, what I talked to the participants about was taking these envelopes and decorating them. I have these materials here, so I'm looking for them. I'm super into simple tools that make a big impact. And one of the things that I really love, in addition to, you know, upcycling these envelopes, I love to use washi tape. And, you know, you can get washi tape at any local store like Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Target, Walgreens, Walmart. So you can have different prints on the washi tape. It can be plain, you know, you just have a lot of choices. So what we did in the workshop is that we took the envelope and we sealed it, and then we cut it in half. So here's one that was sealed and it's cut in half as a little demo. Super simple. You know, you can even do it with some, if you have kids that are pre-readers, this doesn't require any reading literacy skills. So it's pretty nice to do with the whole family, even though I'm focused on teens. But, you know, take the envelope, seal it, cut it in half. And then if you don't want to cut it all, you can cut it in different lengths. Like if you want a taller pocket, that's fine. If you want to do your pockets horizontal, go crazy. It's creativity time. I think it's great. And then what we did in the workshop is that we use washi tape, and we also use scrapbook paper, but I'm focused on washi tape right now because it's super simple and you don't really need scissors if you don't want to have them. So a lot of times people don't want to do creativity things because they don't want to clean up the mess afterwards. So I'm doing everything super simple right now. so that you don't have a huge mess. You can just, do it on the floor if you're sitting and watching TV, or you can do it at your table. You can even do it in bed. Like sometimes I'm binge watching like 2020 or something like that, and I'll do a little creativity project while I'm watching it with a clipboard on my lap. I love documentaries and crime shows. That's my thing. Anyway, so what we did was cover the envelope with washi tape. So this is like one side, and then on the back here you can see the washi tape on the edges. Yeah, and so we covered it, and then people could choose whatever color washi tape they wanted. They could do all kinds of crazy designs. One young lady had different types of washi tape going across. It was super beautiful. Somebody did like a woven mosaic. I'm really into plaid. I love Denver plaid. Like that's my favorite one. And this one is very Christmassy, and I put a little sparkle on it because that's what I like. And so we covered the envelopes, and people did one envelope or they did 5. You got to pick whatever number you wanted. And then we talked about different places to put these envelopes. So of course, I mentioned before, to put them into your journal or your planner or somewhere like that. We talked about putting them in lockers. If the students have lockers, we talked about putting them on bulletin boards. We talked about putting them by your bedside table as a different place. We talked about putting them, so how you can buy those suction cups and they'll have a little hook on it. We talked about putting the suction cup on a mirror in the bathroom, and then you could put a little hole in your envelope and just hook it on there. I wish I had a suction cup. I didn't think about having that here, but you could just buy those at your local hardware stores or Walgreens in the home section. Suction cup with a little hook is usually a pack, and they have different size suctions on them. So, whatever your weight is, but these are pretty light because it's paper. And so you can suction that to a mirror or a surface, and then you can hole punch the pocket and hang it there. So we talked about just different ways to use these pockets and where to put them, on your dashboard, if that's something, if you're driving. So, a variety of ways. And so the demo I did was I just took this piece of scrapbook paper, as you can see. So it's just a square. And then I glued these pockets onto the paper. So they're just glued on, super simple. And, they're decorated in ways that I love. Everybody knows I'm obsessed with donuts. So of course I have to have a pocket with donuts. So we talked about that. And then what we did was we used note cards, and I used this size. I had other size of note cards, but this is the size that will actually fit in the envelope. And of course you could have a bigger envelope, and then you could use like 5x7 size note cards, which I have my different collages here. Let me take one down. Yeah, so this is like a 5x7 size, and this is a note card I did around forest bathing. So there's Oprah outside, forest bathing, and then I have information on the other side about forest bathing and what it is and what it means and all of that. But in the workshop, we focused on doing the 3x5 cards so they would fit into the pockets. Simple and easy. And then we talked about what to put on the note card. So I had a little questionnaire asking them about, things that stress them out, or things that they worry about the most often, or, things that make them feel tense and all of that. So they had their own questionnaire, and I didn't look at that. It was just their own reflection piece. And then they decided what were the visual things that made them feel calm in those situations, words that made them feel calm in that situation, quotes, music lyrics, like anything that would bring you down, or certain scents. So we really focused on all the 5 senses. And then they started to create the coping strategies on the note card. So either it was like a visual on one side, or it was words on one side. We did watercolors. If you just like colors, certain colors calm you, or remembering when you did the watercoloring, like looking at the card and remembering how relaxed you were during the workshop was, amazing. So any type of visual thing that would bring you down to a calm state so that you could, make better decisions when you're not so stressed, or when you're suffering from decision-making fatigue. We talked about that in the last Wednesday Club of how to deal with decision-making fatigue and, how to get some relief. And, we just had a really good time. I had music going during the workshop. I wanted to do aromatherapy during the workshop, but, you don't know who's going to have what allergies at these events. So no aromatherapy, but I talked about it. I had some scratch and sniff washi tape. There is scratch and sniff washi tape. I had one that smelled like roses, one that smelled like bubble gum, one that smelled like lavender, and one that smelled like coffee. So, people who were really into scents really loved that type of washi tape and really, got into using that and thinking about different scents and smells that really calmed them and brought them to mind. And so, once people had enough time, we had about like hour and a half to, create or start creating, because, we never finish these workshops because people could do this for hours, and the workshop is typically 90 minutes to 2 hours. So this one was 2 hours. And so then I talked about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 strategy. And this is something that a lot of mental health professionals use with their clients and patients who are experiencing anxiety or feeling overwhelmed. And it's all around, and you've probably seen this all over on social media or heard people talk about it, but it goes like this. So the 5 stands for 5 things you could see. So we talked about using this visual tool with the pockets, 5 things you could see that would, bring you down to your normal breathing pace so you weren't so stressed. 4 things you could touch. So I did have different paper that had different textures to it. I even had some faux fur, and some people put that on their cards. So, just different textures if you're really into that. If I had a half-day workshop, I would have had different beads and different seeds and dried beans, so you can make different textures. I love to do collaging out of like natural things like rice and beans and things like that. So 5 was 5 things you can see. 4 things you can touch. 3 things you could hear. So, I mentioned music, and so, we were listening to music. I had curated a sensory playlist, and I played it for them, and I shared that with them so they could have a sense of what a sensory playlist was comprised of, and then how they could put one together. I mean, it's just such a fun workshop. And then the 2 is 2 things you could smell. So, I mentioned the washi tape, and I love aromatherapy. And then 1 was 1 thing you could taste. So I encourage them to do a visual of something healthy that would make them feel calm and secure and safe and things like that. So that's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. So that was the whole concept of the workshop. And like I said, it was around helping them see how they could use creativity, how they could upcycle stuff. And so you don't have to go out and buy tons of things to do a creativity activity like this. I know a lot of times people say, I don't have the time, I don't have the space, I don't have the resources to get these things. I always say, use a lot of stuff that you already have in the house. We all get junk mail, and sometimes we let it pile up. So when you're clearing out that pile of junk mail, start clipping out words that pop out at you that would help you with your mindfulness, that will help calm you down. If you see any visuals, use those envelopes from, your bills or junk mail, when you get those solicitations for extra credit cards. We don't want the credit cards, but we're going to use the envelopes for that. And then, if you have a bulletin board, if you have craft paper, or if you just have regular printer paper, you can use all of that to create your pockets, create your visual tools to work on ways to calm yourself, to have more mindfulness, and just to have fun with it. And the other thing too is I when I'm talking to the parents about doing this with their teens, and they're always like, oh, my teen's so busy, they don't have time to do these things, I don't know when we would fit it in. And I always say, set up a table, a space in your main family room, living room, kitchen, like wherever the family convenes the most, set this space up. It can be a corner of your kitchen table, or if you have one of those tray tables that pop up, like those TV tray tables, it could be as small as that. Or you can put it in a little box. Like if you have a shoe box, you can put the creativity materials in that for this particular project. Or like I shop at Safeway. So if you shop at your local grocer, you will get those beverage carriers, wine carriers. And I tell people to get those, even if you're not buying wine. But if you are, good for you. And if you're not, good for you. But you can get that, and you can cover that carrier with decorative paper or collage it. And then we've put solo cups in it or big plastic cups in it, and you can use that as a creativity tool caddy. So super simple. So using things to upcycle. I've even used taking a shoebox, and then you know how you have your toilet paper rolls, you know, fill the shoebox with the toilet paper rolls where they're sticking up, and then you have the little circles, and you can just put different tools in there too. So keep it simple so that you'll actually do the creativity. And okay, one second. Excuse me. Keep it super simple so you'll actually do the creative activity, and then just put it in a centralized area. And when you, as the parent, as the adult, have time to work on it, just go over there and work on it. And typically when our teens see us working on something, they might be curious. They may come ask you about it, or they might just sit down and start doing it their own way. And you don't have to spend so much time explaining it. You know, leading by example is plenty, because people like to make things. They just forget they like to make things. And we also forget when our kids are teens that they still like to play with us, but we have to figure out different ways to play with them that fits, you know, this stage in their life. And I feel like creativity has really kept our entire family connected, and it's really fun to do projects together, even though it's not the same project all the time. Sometimes doing these tandem projects can be really powerful and connective, and I think it helps us all grow bolder. So that is my information about mindfulness. I have one more workshop coming up this month around about planners, doing planners with teens. So I'm super excited about that. And then I'm presenting, I'm doing a talk at a conference, at a day-long conference around productivity. And I always talk about creativity with productivity, just because, you know, being busy is just not always the goal, but having purposeful busyness and purposeful productivity is the goal, so you can get the right things done. You don't have to get everything done. You just need to get the right things done. So I'm doing that. And then in October, I'm having a fun virtual online event that's around mindfulness for high achieving women and moms. So I'm super excited about that. It's based on my Power of Pleasure card deck, and we'll be doing some creativity activities around that, helping people get ready for the holiday